defamation lawsuits. Could you see moving that to other people with individual platforms, social media influencers, people that...
Or newspapers, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I do. I think you have to do it because they're very dishonest. And I feel I have to do this. I shouldn't really be the one to do it. It should have been the Justice Department or somebody else, but I have to do it. It costs a lot of money to do it, but we have to straighten out the press. Our press is very corrupt.
And Trump said he's suing 60 Minutes. Bob Woodward, too, is filing one against the Des Moines Register. Now add possibly social media. More to the list with the ABC settlement. And the lawsuit in that case centered upon an interview with Representative Nancy Mace, in which Stephanopoulos repeatedly said that Trump had been found, quote, liable for rape. And it now features a statement of regret online. And this is, of course, because Donald Trump had been found liable for sexual abuse. That is a legal difference there. So is Trump trying to intimidate the press? Is ABC embarrassing and obedient for settling? How many others could Trump be planning to sue? Well, to talk about this, talk about the implications, I'm joined by conservative commentator and host of the Death of Journalism podcast, John Ziegler. John, so good to see you. Thanks so much. The ABC settlement, embarrassing, right decision, about time? What do you think?
Well, I think everyone failed here, Jesse. I think everyone from the beginning of the situation. I think the judge and the jury in the E. Jean Carroll case failed. I think George Stephanopoulos failed in what he said. I think ABC, the corporate suits, failed in caving here when they could have won this case and stood up for an incredibly important First Amendment standard and privilege and precedent and principle. I think Donald Trump has failed in his response to this. I think the right-wing pro-Trump media has failed in trying to dunk on ABC because guess what? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. This is going to come after them as well. We are in a very dangerous time here when the press is in a very perilous place from all different perspectives, from a monetary standpoint, from a trust perspective, and this is not going to help things. I am as ardent a critic of Trump and the press as anybody, but this is very dangerous territory here regarding the First Amendment, freedom of press, and everybody from top to bottom screwed up in this situation.
Well, wouldn't you say there was a reason they decided to settle? Maybe they didn't want some bad information to come out, some bad messages, some embarrassing messages, that the risk of what could have come out during the course of litigation, like we've seen in the Dominion lawsuit, that ABC made a calculated decision here and said, look, we're going to cut our losses. We'll say we regret this. We'll pay $15 million and call it a day.
That's the right decision if you're a corporate suit. That's not the right decision if you care about protecting the freedom of the press and the First Amendment. ABC News has the right, I believe, the people that work for ABC News have the right to be upset with their corporate suits who caved here for probably exactly the reasons that you suggested. This is probably a very good decision. This is basically a tax write-off to charity for $15 million and an apology online. They don't really care that much. But the precedent this sets, the Pandora's box this opens, the slippery slope this creates, and I'm creating all sorts of cliches, probably a record for cable news in one sentence, but they're all true. They're all accurate. This is going to have a very chilling effect on the press at a very perilous time. We're in dangerous territory, and it's because everybody failed their duties in this circumstance.
I mean, Trump said he's going to file as soon as tomorrow against now retired pollster Ann Seltzer, the Des Moines Register, for publishing their poll results showing that Harrison probably was ahead in Iowa. He's suing CBS News, 60 Minutes, over their interview with Kamala Harris. There's one thing, anybody could sue anybody, but do you really think that they are going to, if they get sued or these lawsuits continue, do you think that these entities are just going to do what ABC did, or they're going to fight it out and try to get it dismissed?
Well, first of all, what Trump is doing is ridiculous. I mean, nobody was more of a critic of that Iowa poll than I was. It was an absurd poll. Why it happened, I would love to know the answers to those questions. But the idea that that somehow was defamation and worthy of a libel lawsuit is ridiculous. I mean, that would put an incredibly chilling effect on all pollsters. We know we are living in a society where people are terrified of being sued for all sorts of reasons, whether or not the case is warranted or not. That's why it's going to have a chilling effect, especially on the media in an era where their business model is already destroyed. Their profit margins are down. The corporate suits are incredibly sensitive to this issue. They're going to cave every single time, and that is going to create a circumstance where people are afraid to come close to criticizing people and maybe make a mistake and get sued. That is wrong, look, and Trump should not be a part of this.
You could be right. At the same time, maybe the ABC one is a little bit different because there was a distinction between, you know, sexual abuse and rape. And look, there are going to be people, there are news outlets who are going to cover Trump. They're going to be critical of Trump. They just maybe just have to be, you know, more accurate. But we'll see. John Ziegler, thanks so much. Wish we had a little bit more time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.